So there we go. 3, 2, and 1. Well, Mary Katie, welcome back to Mayor's Monday here at WSAU, WSAU.com.
Happy Monday.
Indeed. and like I know last week is like your most favorite week of the year. It's one of your most favorite days.
You know
of the
a lot
year.
About me, I think. This is
Voting
kind of weird, dude.
and things like that.
Yeah.
I know you had a couple of pretty great stories about people who voted, it was their first time voting and something like this from last week. Why don't you go ahead and let us know? I know one of your friends actually was basically celebrating.
Yeah.
Got to do this for the first time.
Yes, I was super excited. It was just, again, happenstance. I happened to be downstairs and I ran into him and, he was born in a refugee camp in Thailand. And just last July, he went through it was June actually, he went through the process. He took his citizenship test, he passed, so he's an American, and I saw him and I said, "Hey, are you voting for the first time?" And he goes, no, I voted last cycle too. So this was actually his second round of voting,
sure.
But he wanted to make sure he was going to the right place, so he popped by to make sure of that. And so really great to see folks get into the spirit from all over. We had more than 50% turnout. I'm sure by the time this airs, you'll actually have a number that is on point, but right now I know that we turned out above 50% in the city of Wausau, so that's great.
Mm-hmm.
We had lots to talk about with that Supreme Court race. I'm so glad to not see any more of those ads and the text messages, and oh my gosh, we've all been punished.
Yeah, indeed. And but again, like you said, for some people though who are in that situation, some of us, you might just give that polling place nothing more than just a passing glance. They say we're not going to show up for one reason or another, but for some people, this is a big deal for them to be able to participate in democracy like this.
Yeah, it's huge. And, every time I vote, I get a little, weirdly emotional, right? Like, I've been voting in every election since spring of 2020 or 2002. So I tried to go back and look, but you can only look back 10 years on which vote. So too bad. But I think it's really great. And I'm so proud of our city for showing up in that way. And I hope we see even more voters for the next election, obviously.
I was going to say, what is the next one? The spring 25, 24,
Yep,
correct?
you'll have the entire, we'll have the entire county board, the entire city council, obviously the mayoral election.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll have all kinds of things to vote on.
Yeah, indeed. Well, we'll look forward to that because it's going to be here before we know it for sure. And of course, between
presidential primary, oh my gosh, how could I forget that? It's going to be wild.
Right. That's right. Yeah, who can forget that's coming?
We'll be the center of the universe again. It's fine.
Exactly. But of course, between now and then, a lot of stuff to take care of. And first and foremost, again, when have we not talked about water?
I don't know. It's
lately?
Been more than a year, which is great.
Yeah.
Because that's what I feel is the most important issue for us all to talk about all the time. And
right.
My friends and family are sick of talking about it, frankly. So thank you for asking.
Indeed. Yeah. So again, we talked last week about the state getting a share of some $6 billion.
Yeah.
For
6.5,
yes, for lead service line replacement.
Yep.
Again, where are we at with this? I know you're probably on the phone a lot the last couple of days trying to line up meetings and finalize plans for how we're going to move forward with this. Yeah,
we've had tons of meetings to talk about how do we want to approach this, and my thought is that we want to be first in line. Always, we want to get of course our fair share, but I'm more than willing to take more than our fair share. Because I think, we have a plan, we're ready to go. So what you can expect, I'm trying to tie up some loose ends, so I'm guessing that next week we'll start talking about a special meeting with the Utility and Finance Committee to talk again about how we want to move forward and collect some of those dollars. Those applications are due at the end of June, so we want to make sure that we have it in and we can just start sprinting, continue sprinting. This is the fastest marathon I've ever been a part of, and we have to be. We have to be fast.
Yeah, because I'm guessing if whatever the city may get awarded out of this has probably got to be spent in a certain timeline, or there has to be a plan in place for it.
Yep.
Because guessing an organization like the DNR, the federal government's not going to give us money to just have it sit in a savings account.
Yeah, so what they want to hear from us is, what is your plan? How have you prepared already? You know, you hear a lot about shovel ready, right? So that's kind of what we're talking about. But in instances like this, you've probably watched and sat through our utility meeting about our communications plan. We're doing kind of a pilot for replacement on a couple of streets this year to make sure that we're communicating with people about why this is important to replace those lead service lines and all of that. And so we are going to need to submit a plan for communication, for how we're going to spend the money, how we're targeting neighborhoods, things like that. So, as we talked about earlier, that's a 15-year plan right now. But this is once in a lifetime funding. So we're going to try and accelerate that because we have the opportunity, and if we can get all the dollars, I would like all of the dollars.
Yeah, and that leads me to my next question, because obviously, ideally, this would get done at no out-of-pocket expense to property owners, homeowners, business owners in the city. Obviously, that is the goal. Way up here. People can't see where I'm holding my hand, but
we want to spend other people's money on the people who live here. Yes,
indeed.
That is exactly it.
But realistically, it's probably going to be a percentage of that, and the homeowners may have to be saddled with a bill for $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, whatever that may be. So what is the goal then to make sure that people are ready to know what's coming on that? Because obviously, when it comes to that, you're telling people how to spend their money on their home.
Yep. So we want to make sure that we're ahead of this with the communication, of course. Like, we want people to buy in, like, oh yeah, we don't want to have lead pipes serving our home. Okay, so step one. And when we started talking about an ordinance that would require property owners to do that, we got some pushback. Don't love it. So we're thinking about what that looks like, but we're also, in addition to looking at those federal funds, we're looking at other pots of money that we do have access to, right? So we have funding through HUD that we can maybe capitalize on. We're all hands on deck. Like, we are trying to be creative to figure out how we can do this, and especially in those neighborhoods and for those folks that are underserved and maybe have the least to be able to afford this. We want to make sure that we're able to work through those problems and issues. So yes, at the very least, we can do low and no interest loans, we're thinking. But again, this is going to be a discussion that we have to have as a policy body, probably all of our policy bodies. So get ready for a quick round of meetings. But yeah, we're looking towards making sure that it's less of a burden, because again, we understand that we're already talking about a big burden on some folks when it comes to rates and things like that. So
yeah, the general rule of thumb is people do not like to open up their mail and see a surprise bill for thousands and thousands of dollars. And obviously now we're in a situation where we've been telling people this, so they know it's coming. They may have something in their mind, but what you're saying is, hold on, you might be pleasantly surprised at how this could get done.
Look at you trying to, build it up. Yeah, so we will see. I don't want to promise anything, and it's so hard, politicians always want to promise things.
Right.
But I want to level set. We're going to have those discussions, and we're going to do the best we can.
Right. We will certainly stay tuned.
Yes, and I know you'll keep reporting on it, and you'll keep asking me, so thank you.
Indeed. It's what we're here for.
Boom.
And then obviously the PFAS situation, are we still in this holding pattern right now with numbers that are fluctuating a little bit, but not getting too high or too above the line? Correct?
Yeah, so we had a joint meeting between the Finance Committee and the Utility Commission, and both of our bodies agreed that we want to move forward so that we can put that PFAS permanent solution out to bid. So that's what we're working on now. Our utility folks are working on that RFP and that bid. They've already been working on it. So once it's posted, we're going to share it everywhere. They have places that they share where people who do this kind of work will respond, but of course I'll be sharing it just because I'm interested in it, and I'll be sharing it everywhere. So you'll get a chance to see that too.
Indeed. And yeah, we'll look forward to where that ends up going. And again, water will continue to be the discussion for the next 6 months or even more, right?
Maybe the rest of our lives, frankly, because, when we're talking about even the changing regulations, right? Like, this is step one, there are 6,000 kinds of PFAS, right? So we might be talking about other things. And one of the good things about the solution we're putting in place is that it solves a lot of those issues for the future. So you're welcome, future.
Indeed. And then as far as other things go in the city, there are other things that have gone on, believe it or not. You have a new face here at City Hall. Tell us about the new transportation director.
So obviously, in January, we said goodbye to our transit director, Greg Soibert, who has been with the city for 40 years. Okay, huge. I mean, that department is basically the Greg Soibert department, right? So big challenges, but also, changes and opportunities too. So we hired Matthew Rosenberg Jones, and he's worked at a couple of different transit authorities, and private and public. So he's got a lot of interesting experience. He's got a lot of great ideas. He's getting his feet wet. I just had a meeting with him, and he said, hey, and he rattled off all of these folks that he's already being appointed to like the state transit board. So, he's making really good connections, and he's starting to really get into this whole thing. So you can expect some good conversations coming up. We have a lot of challenges, but we're excited to continue tackling those.
Yeah, indeed, and that's exactly what I thought. If he's saying, "Hey, these are the people I'm meeting at the state level. These are the people that I'm meeting here," that's got to be good for Wausau. When obviously there's a lot of the list of issues with Metro Ride is long. We can talk about, we've been talked about.
I call them challenges and opportunities.
Yeah, opportunities. So if he's already out there making connections, obviously these things are on his mind too, and he doesn't want them to sit and stew any longer.
No, he has a penchant for action, so I think we'll be very happy to see the kind of work he does for our community. So we're really excited. So if you see Matthew around, feel free to say hey.
Yeah. So what are would you say then? I guess would be his priorities then going forward for the next few months, besides figuring out where his office is and where the coffee machine is and things like that.
Yeah, he really wants to get a handle of what kind of service that we offer, what kind of service the community is asking for, what is possible, who are the main players. There have been conversations that took place about transit expansion and detraction since, before I got here. So, he's starting to get to know those folks in our other community members, right? Getting to know the MPO. So, I got a chance to sit down with the new I think she's been here for 2 years, but COVID years, it's long and short.
Right.
So CPZ folks, so she's really great. So, we're making those connections. And I think that's the big thing is where can we shore up what we're doing, and how can we make the most of those dollars that we're getting?
And again, not to put you on the spot, but of course
that's
my job.
Yeah.
Would the plan then include routes to places like Red Mountain and to places
nothing
like
is off the
Weston?
table right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the challenges we have is that we need agreements with those municipalities, but I think that we can get to a place where we can start talking about that. Sometimes restarting those with different faces is helpful, and I want to do that. We all want to do that. We've heard from the customers and the potential customers, right? We've talked about even just out to the business park. We have businesses out there that are doing their own, ferrying of people. So, what should we do here? Can we work with them to figure out the financing? So,
yeah, and those are the
opportunities abound.
Yeah, indeed, the two biggest opportunities. Because again, I feel like we've been talking about those issues ever since
forever
I got here.
Yeah,
and that's a while now.
Yeah, I don't even know how long you've been here. It feels like you're a mainstay now. You're a lifer.
Probably. We'll see how it goes. Well, Mary Katie, we always appreciate the time. We'll look forward to chatting again next month as well.
Yeah, thank you.